entrepreneurs and their journeys and the troubles that entrepreneurs have as they journey through their businesses. We have a founder, a very passionate founder in the space of compliance, and her name is Findley Mokoena, and she is the founder of a business very aptly called Department of Compliance. And she'll unpack that for us, because usually departments are within organizations, but she decided to be your Department of Compliance wherever you sit as a small business. And she'll tell us how the Department of Finance, of sort of compliance, assists small businesses to comply. And we'll have this very exciting conversation on compliance generally, but specifically annual financial statements for small businesses, what that means. Welcome, Findley. Very excited to have you here. I just discovered that you're not very far from where I live, and
No.
glad that we could meet you. Please tell us a little bit about who Findley is.
Hi, and hi to your listeners. Thank you very much for inviting me, Mr. Ndwandwe. Mr. Ndwandwe, thank you very much. Yes, I am the founder and owner, and I started the Department of Compliance, strategically named Department of Compliance, because I wanted, when people searched compliance, they found our name, and they would be able to find us to be able to assist them. My journey, how did my journey start? I started 15 years ago when I was tendering. So I started dealing with regulatory documents and dealing with compliance documents, and I thought to myself, this is very interesting, especially the steps of renewing and keeping them maintained. So I worked within that field. I then graduated with applied psychology and law, and I decided to study company secretarial, just to understand the intricacies of compliance within the board and how that functions. I worked with many small businesses, start to finish, worked with their regulations and their compliance, and I thought to myself, this is something that is really interesting. How do we get businesses to do these things for themselves? So I started training small businesses with regards to how to get them started, what compliance is, how do you get yourself started as an entrepreneur, and moving through the steps.
Wow,
Yeah.
wow, exciting journey this is. But just help us understand here, there is this term that's been coming, and it's probably going to be here more of it, compliance.
Yes.
What is compliance defined broadly, especially in the context of a small business, because our listeners are mostly small business people?
Yes.
What is compliance?
Well, conforming to the rules. You conform to rules and regulations set by organizations and authorities. Policies or guidelines that are used to regulate any industry or body. So everything has its rules. Every department has rules that they set aside in order for you to get to a certain level. So to adhere is to comply. You adhere to these rules, you become compliant. You submit when you're required to submit, you become compliant. So looking at those rules, and I don't want to say tick box, but it feels very, you look at those rules, you write them down, and you adhere to them. Like the staircase to compliance, step by step, what needs to be first, just to get to that door to open up all those opportunities that you're looking forward to.
Wow.
Compliance.
So it's actually tough to run a business, because somebody starts a business because he's passionate about producing a particular product, and they know how to produce that particular product, and they know how to sell it. But there is also these other rules, regulations that are now called compliance that I have to now look after, and I may be terribly and horrible in terms of looking after compliance.
Yeah.
So perhaps in the context of a small business again, how would you, if I may use this term again, the checklist, what are the general compliance requirements of a small business before we talk about financial statements specifically, but what would be the broad stroke of compliance for a small business? What would that look like?
I've created a compliance checklist so that we can work through that. So
Wow.
the first thing that a business owner, yes, you need to have your idea. You need to be passionate about your idea and driven, and that's before you even look at a checklist. That is your business. Then you get your computer and you click CIPC and you get very scared. No, so you register your business. you as a director, or you manage and maintain a business that somebody else has already registered. Either way, if it's your passion, if it's a business that you're working within. So registration of a company, very important. And when you're working within that business, no matter if it's an old company or if you've just registered a company as a small business owner, annual returns are very important. It's very important for you to go into Biz Portal. So now I'm saying CIPC, which is the Companies Intellectual Property Commission, and the Biz Portal, which is a website that CIPC has launched with together in order for entrepreneurs to be able to go into the website and work on this compliance thing. As you said, it might seem like it's daunting. Go into the Biz Portal website, check if my business, am I annual return compliant, or is my business AR final deregistration, or does it say in business? Those three are very important, because if you want to work within the industry, within South African economy, and you want to have a business, you must make sure that it is not deregistered. And most recently, CIPC has requested that people submit UBOs. UBO is something that you're going to be hearing a lot about. It's unlimited beneficial ownership. It's something where you go in as a business owner and you just describe to the CIPC what the ownership structure looks like of your business. Who is actually managing the business finances and who is actually putting money into there. Something that you can go online, learn more about. It's very important as an entrepreneur. This too can lead to deregistration of your business. Now, this is even before you've sold your first tomato, potato, apple. You need to make sure that these things are done. Once that is done, everybody is loaded on e-filing, especially if you were working in corporate, or even if you were working as an intern. At some stage, you have a tax number. So you go onto the SARS website, you look at the tax compliance. That's number 3 on my list. Tax compliance, very important. You don't have to have the business on your profile in order to know if it's compliant. There's a way that you can check on SARS to see whether this business is compliant with the tax compliance PIN. You input that information in there, and then you see, okay, this business is actually compliant. Next step, almost done, the BE certificate or the sworn affidavit. If you're going to go into Biz Portal, get a BE certificate done on Biz Portal. If you're an EME or a QSE, QSEs rather go to the police station. There's a QSE form that you can download, and then you can get a sworn affidavit, and that's your BE certificate. Take all those documents and open up a bank account. You must remember that a business is separate from yourself. You are representing the business. You are not necessarily all one. The business must have its own bank account. Do not take money from your business. Pay yourself a salary. Yes, so bank account, those are the 5 most important things. Register the business. Check that the business is AR compliant. Tax compliance, very important. BE certificate or sworn affidavit and a business bank account. And that's my advice to these 5 elements. Any business owner, any entrepreneur who's looking to start a business, start there.
Yeah. Amazing, because that's just the foundation.
That is.
Because when you get into particular sectors,
Yes.
There may be industry-specific compliance requirements, which, again, may be another long list. So we definitely need you to come back here to talk to us about compliance in detail. But today, we'd like just to focus on annual financial statements. Maybe let's just start by understanding what are annual financial statements and why is it important to comply with an annual financial statements?
So every business needs to have a way to monitor the money that's coming into the business, the money that's going out of the business. Even a family has a budget. What the husband or the wife bring into the business, into the family, which is then the income, and then what goes out, which is then the expenses and whatever is saved and whatever liabilities you have or what you owe external people that you're like, okay, I'm going to pay this little by little. So those annual financial statements are a way of managing the finances of the business on an annual basis. That's when we're looking at it for the 12 months. And what they contain is balance sheet, income statement, cash flow statement, and notes of financial statements. So AFS, if you ever hear somebody saying, send me your AFS, AFS, annual financial statements. That's one element, annual financial statements.
Okay. And let's talk about now practically in a business. I know that for a fact that a lot of businesses have serious problems complying with annual financial statements. First, they may not have, as a founder, where you do everything in a business. The majority of small business owners do not have the capacity or the skills, let alone the time, to actually be the ones that would be able to put together annual financial statements. So how do you advise a small business that's operating their business to actually get around this particular problem?
I think it's very important to then look at small, yes, so we're in the small bucket, but how small are we? So if we're looking at it's just me in my business, and my business is making 20,000 Rand a month, that's very small. So that number, I would say, try to manage it yourself. Use whatever portal you can. There are applications out there that allow you to understand the finances of your business and be able to manage that month to month. But if we go a little bit bigger, same in the small bucket, so we're still looking at the turnover below 5 million per annum, then we're looking at that and we're saying, okay, now we're a little bit bigger, you're making at least 1 million per annum. Now this is where I would say, okay, find someone external to your business. Your business might have 2-3 employees, even if it's maybe you and someone. Then you're paying somebody a salary. Then you find somebody just to manage that externally. So find somebody who has a practice number, who is an accountant, who you've been referred to by someone, which is always easier because you can always go back to the beginning point, or you can go onto the SAICA or SAIPA websites and find an accountant there. So anybody who has a practice number is able to assist you as a small business owner. You get your management accounts on a monthly basis. Why is it important to have your annual financial statements? I spoke about annual returns. Annual returns is something that you need to do annually. And those numbers need to come from somewhere. It's not, I must stress this, saying 0 on CIPC means that you have made no turnover, that business has been dormant. So it is important, if you are getting money into your business on a monthly basis, in order for you to be able to tell CIPC, this is my turnover. And that's the responsibility that you have as a director or business owner to give that report to the CIPC, to say this is the turnover. The same responsibility for income tax. You need to provide those figures when you're submitting to SARS to say, this is the amount of turnover that I've been making. So very important. Annual financial statements, you need to be able to give those numbers in. Small businesses, no matter how big you are, manage the finances. That's why it's important to have annual financial statements. You need to be able to track and manage your finances.
Yeah. Somebody could say, I do these annual financial statements and then it exposes me to SARS and to tax. Now I have to pay tax. Perhaps some people just do it to avoid potential exposure to paying tax, so they are evading or avoiding whatever the right terminology is. Tell us about that. Why is it still important to do annual financial statements, and you could still do it and not necessarily expose yourself to SARS?
Well, I don't think it's an exposure.
Yes.
SARS does have certain recourse for small businesses. So they do have certain taxes that they look at, and they do give you a benefit of the doubt as a small business owner. So you're not going to be paying the same amount of tax as a big business. You are looked at. There's an SMME program that SARS does have. Very important, stay compliant. Always with SARS, you submit the numbers that are supposed to be there. If you're supposed to pay to SARS, it means that you have gained sufficient enough to provide whatever has been calculated back into the economy. So if you feel like you've been exposed to SARS, maybe it was just a little light that's been shining on you to say, listen, you're actually making enough to give a little bit back. Yeah.
Maybe we should ask the question, why is it important for businesses to pay tax?
Oh, I was listening, I think today in the news, they were talking about this week, about how small businesses and how SARS has been able to gain a significant amount of money back from the economy after this financial year has closed because of small businesses and businesses that are compliant. It's the roads, it's the schools, it's the hospitals, it's the programs that government runs. You are fueling those. So very important for you to pay your taxes.
Wow. Are there businesses that are exempt from annual financial statements? And if so, which are those and what conditions?
So no business is exempt from annual financial statements because I said as mom and dad, you come into together, you have a budget. We need to know what's happening with that money. And now if you move and you say, okay, we want to get somebody external to come and fund us, but we don't even know what's happening with the money internally. So having annual financial statements, there's no exemption. We can say maybe you can have financial statements that are of a lesser degree of specific. It's not as specific as a big business would be. You show in like what I'm saying, basic money in, what we spend it on, money out. Try to get an accountant that is able to bring it down to that, to the core of what exactly is happening in the business. Management accounts is the monthly accounts that you can have as a company. And if somebody says, I want annual financial statements, I want to be able to fund you, you take those monthly management accounts in sets of 12 and you ask an accountant to then put them together for you as an annual financial statement.
Very important point you've just made, because you start a business to grow the business so that in the future it can actually employ more people, it can grow, it can give you more profit as an owner of the business. And very often the function of your growth is also dependent on the funding that you might be able to get at various stages of the growth of business. And therefore, annual financial statements, therefore, are a tool that helps you to attract partnerships and funders into your business. And often we forget that. We're always thinking about SARS, when actually this is a tool that is a function of your growth of your business. Now, how would you advise businesses out there to probably treat this issue of compliance generally, but specifically annual financial statements as a priority in their business, because often it's just a nuisance. By the way, I don't have annual financial statements, but how should they actually treat it as very critical in their day-to-day operations of their business?
Exactly, by doing that day to day. Very important. Every money that comes in, have it recorded. Even there are some financial apps that are out there for small business, 250 Rand a month that you pay, and you're able to use that application and insert whatever money that comes into your business and register whatever money that goes out of your business. You need to be able to record that on a monthly basis. Who do I owe? How much money am I paying there? How much money am I getting in from there? What exactly is happening in my business day to day? And if you're small enough, that's possible. The more you get bigger, start to look at partners, somebody who'd be able to assist you, like an accounting partner or a buddy or some business that's external from yours. Make sure that that business is able to assist you as an entrepreneur to say, okay, we are accountants. We are going to assist you on a monthly basis. We'll give you calculations for pay as you earn if you have any employees. We'll give you calculations of what your turnover is even on a monthly basis. Those are small accounting firms that you're able to tap into. Use them. Find these people, pay them a retainer. Small businesses are always saying, no, there's more money going out than money coming in. But retainers for accountants can vary from 750 to 1,500, depending on the size of your business. And that is how they calculate it on your turnover. So as a small business owner, do not be afraid to find an accountant that will be able to manage your finances with you. Also looking at how big your business is. Don't go to an accountant if you're making 20,000 Rand a month. Try to manage it yourself. Pay that 250 for the app and then look at it yourself. The more you get bigger and it's something that you're unable to manage yourself, bring in a partner. Bring in somebody that will be able to be your sidekick. And once that person is there, they have your back. So they are your accountants. If there's something that you need, they're there for you. They tell you that you need to submit your annual returns before CIPC tells you. They create your annual financial statements and give you the numbers that you need to submit for income tax before SARS knocks on your door. They've already provided you with that information. So allow these people to assist you as accountants. And we have quite a few accountants that we work with as a Department of Compliance, because we are compliance and regulatory. So we do not do the day-to-day accounting, but we do work with them. So we say these are the sidekicks, these are the people that are able to assist you on a monthly, on a day-to-day basis, advise you. Get these people on retainer.
Amazing, amazing. Department of Compliance, and you style yourself as the heroes for small business.
Oh, yes.
How do entrepreneurs and business owners find you? Because I think they will want to reach out to you and say, please come and have a look and advise me what to do.
Social media, we're everywhere. We're on LinkedIn, we're on Instagram, we have a website. So on LinkedIn and Instagram is Department of Compliance, not Department, the whole word, DEPT of Compliance.
Okay.
On that's LinkedIn and Instagram. And then you can also find us on our website, departmentofcompliance.co.za. So www.departmentofcompliance.co.za.
Maybe someone wants to call you right away now. How do they reach you?
You can call me. We have a WhatsApp, a business WhatsApp. So 067 196 7816. And we can assist you with all your compliance needs, not only your accounting or financial compliance needs. The entire list of 5 that I told you, the basic fundamentals of compliance, we're able to assist you with that. So we're your superheroes in the sense that we can train you on how to do it yourself, or we can do it for you, depending on what your capacity is in terms of time and also the size of your business and what the need is.
Amazing, amazing, amazing. That is Findley Mokoena, Department of Compliance. That's her entity that is a superhero for small businesses, assisting small businesses to comply with all the regulations and requirements that businesses have to contend with. And her advice is, learn to do the basics yourself. And certainly they also teach you how to look after that, and certainly find help from outside. Thank you very much, Findley. We're really excited to have you here. And I think we will need to have you come back for further discussions on this big subject of compliance. Thank you very much.
Thank you. I'd really appreciate that. I'd love to come back and just dive into more compliance.
Yes, thank you.
Charis Pretorius does Break Free on Radio Veritas every Thursday between 4 and 5:30 p.m. Join us as we unpack social issues, social ills, and those things that bother us every Thursday between 4 and